Come on, name that song. Name that solo. Hello and welcome to Fender Play Live. I'm your host, Eugene Edwards, and today we're talking about some surprising Stratocaster tunes that you can learn on Fender Play. You know the famous Strat songs, right? Little Wing, Sultans of Swing, That'll Be the Day. You can probably name plenty, but you might not realize some of the classic songs you're about to hear were also recorded by Stratocaster players, or sometimes non-Strat players who snuck a Strat in for the session or what have you. To help me out, please welcome my guest and a great friend of the show, the Los Angeles guitar guru, Dinesh Lakraj. Dinesh?
Hey, Eugene, how's it going, man?
It's going. You know what? Before the show, I know you were talking about how hot it is today here in Southern California.
Yes, it's pretty off the charts for us. You know how it is for us. 10 degrees out of any type of normal weather turns us all into maniacs.
So here's the thing. So my hometown of Yuma, Arizona, it's probably 119 there today, and I'm not kidding. And I played sports in that weather, so I made a promise to myself when I moved to Los Angeles years ago that I would never complain about the heat. Because as bad as it is here, it's worse in my hometown. That's my take. But thank you very much for braving the conditions. Because I know you got to turn off your AC.
Man.
For
Great
this.
to be here as always. Always a good time, man. Super stoked about today's episode.
The last time you were here, we were talking about Telecasters. So now we're getting you back a little more in your wheelhouse in terms of Stratocasters. So we've got 5 tunes to cover. And maybe a bonus tune if we have time. So we want to jump into today's episode. I want to remind our listeners or watchers or viewers, drop any of your Strat questions into the comments and we'll answer them if we can. And also maybe drop your surprising Strat tune into the comments and we'll mention those on the show. I'd like to see what you guys come up with. So Dinesh, I guess I go first, the way the lottery wheel worked out. We're going to kick off the show with the first on our list of surprising Strat songs. I think there's no better way to start than with some proto-punk out of Detroit, the MC5 garage rock classic, Kick Out the Jams.
There we go.
So we got Wayne Kramer and a Stratocaster with a humbucker, and Kick Out the Jams, Friends and Neighbors.
Dude,
something like that.
I mean, even playing it by yourself, it's just massive sounding, you know? Like it's like super big.
Well, you know, and the thing is, that's Wayne Kramer, one of the 2 guitar players in that band. You know, every time he got a guitar, it would get stolen. You know, he had a lot of guitars, and right when by the time they got to make that record, he had a Stratocaster. He swapped out the pickups a little bit, and we'll talk about these sort of mods later. He threw a rat pedal in front of I can't remember stack he had, and that's what we hear on the record. So we know that Strats take pedals really well. You can modify them, and you could inspire the world and inspire other bands with a Stratocaster. It's a pretty, but that heavy overdriven riff that leads the song, it's just I just love the thing. It's a first position one. You can learn it on Fender Play. That's the really important part. Okay, now Dinesh, give us number 2 on our list of surprising Strat tunes.
Totally, and this one kind of took me for surprise too. Now that we kind of dove into it, you know, for this episode, like studying up on it. So yeah, let's take it to 1980 with this one, and surprisingly, you know, check it out. It took me a second to even listen to it. Like even listen to it now, it's like, oh yeah, that is a Strat, but it's not like an obvious, Strat tone that you would associate,
No, and I got to say, you nailed that tone really, really, really well.
Dude, thank you. I had no idea. Like it almost sounded like a humbucking guitar, but I mean, man, he plays those open, those big chords. And watching some of the stuff live, because a lot of times in the beginning it was just kind of him and maybe a rhythm guy, but man, like just playing those big chords with the good overdrive or distortion tone, it's like really carries that song.
Right, and there's a little bit of trivia about that about Neil Girardo, the guitar player that played that Pat's husband, and guitar player. Yeah. He was at Sound City Studios there in North Hollywood back when they were cutting that record. Down the hall, Rick Springfield was making his Working Class Dog record, and they were cutting. They had Jesse's Girl, and there's a spot for guitar solo. They had no guitar player, or not. So they walked the tapes down the hall. Went to Neil, says, "You got a second?" He says, "Sure." They put the tapes on. They said, "Right here, play something." So with the exact same rig from Hit Me With Your Best Shot. He just drops that solo in there. It's so if you listen to those back to back, they'll sound very similar for a reason. Right. Now, we've already got a question from Scott Harris on YouTube.
Oh, cool.
And this one's for you, Dinesh. Is there anything unique in terms of hardtail versus tremolo? Talking about the bridge.
Yeah, that's a great question. And one of the people that we're going to be covering today, we're going to be talking about hardtail as well. When that bridge is sitting on the body of the guitar, there's definitely some more resonance. Eugene, you would agree with me? Yeah, a little more resonance and maybe a little bit more sustain, right? As opposed to the bridge being floating. If you've got a tremolo that's floating, I mean, you could definitely make a floating trem hardtail to where Correct. It comes back to the body and touches it every time. You would just lose the ability to pull up on the bar. So yeah, that's a good question. I think the hardtail will give you a little bit more resonance and a little bit more sustain. And depending on the situation of like your strings, if you've stretched them out good enough and all that, might be a little more stable for tuning sometimes, depending. Mm-hmm.
You make a great point. It's really about the science of it, that the hardtail is going to, yes, you're right, the resonance and the sustain, you're going to get a little more out of a Strat if you do that. I think, actually, I don't want to venture to say that Eric Clapton does that, but I know his signature models, or at least the ones he actually plays, right? He's pretty much locked in. It's hardtail.
Those are blocked off, yeah.
And he has great sustain on his Strat. So, Scott, that's a great question. It's a valid question, And I would say, Scott, if you have a Stratocaster, switch it over, see what you think, and drop us a line someday and let us know. Another question is from CT Ash 128 on YouTube, asking me, Eugene, hey, why are you hitting your mic so much? Sorry, it's a new day. No, he said, what are you playing through? Well, I'm actually playing through the Mustang GTX amp, and the sound you heard at the top and the one I use for the MC5 tune is setting 95, known as Puppet Master. You tell me what that's referencing.
Nice.
That's what that is. So thank you for asking that. And this is just it's really a part Strat that's about 20 years old and pretty beat up over the years with, I don't even know, they're just probably standard Stratocaster pickups, honestly. I don't even know. I'll take number 3 on the list. Remember, all of these tunes you can learn on Fender Play right now, and it's free to sign up. And if you've got a Stratocaster laying around, now's the time to pick it up and learn these classics. And even if you don't have a Strat, these songs are so fun to learn on any setup. Now, this song, I have some experience with it, but it's been some months, so bear with me here. Let's see if you recognize this one. This is Fast As You by Dwight Yoakam. the abridged version of it. It's so funny because I don't typically use a Strat on stage when we do that song because we're going from one hit to the next. I usually play on a Tele, so it's kind of unusual for me to play it on a Strat.
So, question for you: are you playing in the middle position right now?
Middle pickup. Pickup.
That's something you don't hear a lot of, and that totally kind of covers up that stereotypical Strat sound, as to say, right?
So Dwight's original guitar player and producer, Pete Anderson, he for a few songs, on 1,000 Miles from Nowhere, Wild Ride, these are also on Fender Play, and Fast for like the kind of straight up rock and roll stuff, he'd use a Strat and he'd use the middle pickup selection. Otherwise, he was on a Tele anyway. So kind of like to use the bridge position might have been a little redundant, being a predominant Tele player. And it's like an early 60s Strat in the middle position. So you can use in that country rock setting, obviously, really, really well because Pete Anderson did. Sorry, it's been a while since I played that solo. So doing that stretch over the two kind of surprised me.
Still sounded good to me, man. That's great. Yeah, and again, like hearing that middle pickup, like I think a lot of us need to, remind ourselves. I think we're so busy with going to neck and bridge, and then everyone wants to hear position 4, which is the neck and the middle. Just using that middle really turns it into like a whole other untapped. I think not tapped enough as far as a resource.
I agree. Whenever I play a Stratocaster, I tend towards that middle position first because it's one of the truly unique things about a Stratocaster. Yeah. Now, a question from YouTube from Jim K saying, "Hey guys, what kinds of pedals would you recommend for starting if you're starting out with a Strat?" I'll let you take this one, Dinesh.
Yeah, sure. That's a great question. Strats, like Eugene, you were saying earlier, Strats are really universal when it comes to pedals and amps and all kinds of stuff. So, I mean, definitely a good, overdrive would be a good start, just to throw an overdrive in the mix and maybe a clean boost, just so you can kind of preserve the guitar's, natural tones. And then if you need that louder or not. And, a lot of Strats sound really cool too with compression, especially if you're playing like a lot of funk and rhythm stuff. It's kind of nice to hear the chime and compression. I think those are some great starting. I think chorus in the Strat. That's like that definitely is something that we've heard a lot, especially during the '80s as well. But that's always some good times.
I was going to say, a Stratocaster with clean chorus sound. That's so much my childhood, or when I was first learning electric guitar. That was a big thing, and it was cool because I think before the show we were talking how, and then in the early '90s, Stratocasters were prevalent in rock again because of grunge, right?
Sure. And dude, heavier tones from a Strat. I mean, we had come out of the '80s and all that with our super Strats with humbuckers in the bridge and our high gain. But yeah, you're right. Like that was like my school period. It was like back to the Wayne Kramer thing, like Big Muff or like a Rat pedal, like just big sonic, big tones, Alice in Chains and Pearl Jam and all these different heavy hitters of that era, right?
Right.
That's another thing I forgot to mention. A fuzz pedal would be great with the Strat. That's always a good time.
Yeah, and if you roll the gain back on that fuzz pedal, it'll remind you of like distortion on early rock records. Anyway, definitely have fun with that. Now you mentioned clean and compression, so you've got the next hit, and I think this kind of ties in with that.
Absolutely. Let's check this one out. And again, I'll be on the neck pickup. We're going to do some compression, and compression really came about, when we're doing a lot of stuff where it's strumming and rhythmically. Let's do a little bit of this. Let's do a little Le Freak from Chic. Killer. Awesome. That's always a fun one.
Well, now I know that I speak from experience on this one, that song, it's not as easy as it seems because of the right hand pattern.
Yeah. This guy has got to work the whole time. So the one thing I was doing when I was brushing up on this tune was, if you're practicing this song for the first time and you're just trying to get into it, don't really worry about this hand so much. This is more of a pulsing thing that happens, right? But man, this is the guy. Like last night I was playing it and I was like, am I using the wrong pick maybe? Because like my hand's getting a little tired and like a little. So I would say anyone that's going after this one, just get this guy. I mean, that is where it's all about, and that little pulsing thing with this hand. Yeah, and just trying to keep track of playing that same thing over and over again. There's some variances here and there, I'm sure, but and I can hear it on the recording. But man, talk about some discipline. That's definitely a little a drill,
Yeah, well, Nile Rodgers, he uses that it's like a 1960 Strat, that white Strat, and he calls it the Hitmaker.
Yeah,
we really do. We still hear it on Get Lucky. We heard it on the Bowie Let's Dance record. A lot of the rhythm parts of that.
Hardtail Strat.
A hardtail Strat. There you go, referring to the earlier question. We got a question on Facebook from Rick Olander asking what this Stratocaster behind me is. Well, Rick, this is a Squire Strat that Fender sent, and it's of course has that maple fingerboard on that, and it's just kind of. Originally, I just wanted to get it because of the color, but I just kind of it's a real friendly player. I'm a big fan of the Squire line of stuff. If you have one of those laying around on the couch, you might find yourself kind of picking that up and playing it more than some of the other lines of instruments from Fender. I don't know why. There's something about it really, really fun. So thank you for asking that, Rick. On YouTube, Jamie Levine is asking, what is a good song to learn if you're starting off on Strat? Dinesh, do you have any suggestions?
Good song. I mean, man, I think we had talked about, you had mentioned some Buddy Holly earlier.
Yeah,
that's
actually that would have been my answer.
To start, right? Like
I would go with either. Peggy Sue can be a little challenging because of the right hand rhythm thing. So I would go with That'll Be the Day. Don't forget that Buddy capoed at the 5th fret, but other than that, it's the changes are really simple. You really get an idea of picking on a Strat and strumming across. That's one of my favorites. Where to start is I would start with some Buddy Holly.
Even more simplified than that, I guess we could always go to the old Smoke on the Water. Just for the riff portion of it,
Another, maybe a surprising Strat tune, that's actually good. Yeah, exactly. Smoke on the Water, or any, I'm trying to think of any of the Hank Marvin Shadows stuff, which you can find on Fender Play, because it's a lot of single note melodies and really spotlights the guitar. So look on Fender Play for any of the songs, like Apache by the Shadows is a really, really good one to start, and it really helps you show off your Stratocaster. On YouTube, Daniel St. Pierre is as a new Strat owner, what settings do you recommend to put for the pickups and tone? Dinesh, you're the Strat master. I'll have you take this one.
The settings on the pickup, yeah. I'm wondering exactly what he means by the settings on the pickup, but maybe position.
I think so. Like out of the 5 pickups, and do you affect the tone knob in any way, or we start by asking what's your favorite setting, Dinesh?
I would say just we'll try and cover everything just in case if it's not clear, but. Definitely neck and, position 4, which if anyone doesn't know the positions, 4 is when you go to neck and middle. And I tend to play when I go to the bridge, I tend to roll the tone down just a tiny bit. So the cool thing about the Strat guys is since there's 2 tone knobs, well, the first tone knob closest to the volume knob is going to affect more of the rhythm stuff, positions 5, 4, and 3, I think. And then when you get down to the bridge, maybe back the tone off just a little bit and see, depending on your setup, if that kind of even things out or it kind of creates the illusion that the bridge pickup is a little bit fatter than it is when you take the tone down a little bit.
That's a great answer. Like I said, I'm such a middle pickup fan, but having said that, I am, that neck middle combination is that might be one of the kind of iconic Strat tones.
Yes.
That's the great thing about that Strat is that you're going to find you find some of these positions you might go off on a tangent of things that's going to remind you of so many records over the years because this thing's it's such an open palette as a guitar,
Yeah, don't be and yeah, exactly. And then don't be afraid to mess with the tones and the pickup selections. That was one of the things I think growing up too. Like I would just always keep everything all the way up. Like everything was just all the way up. The tone, it's like nope, just keep them all the way up. I don't want to touch those. And then as I dive in through the years, it's like oh man, there's like a lot of things going on just by messing with the tone controls.
Right. Now I've got song number 5 on the list, and it's a doozy. And this band was directly inspired by the MC5, and we'd played one of their tunes already. So Lemmy had always talked about the MC5 being a huge influence on Motorhead. Here comes Ace of Spades.
Another one too, like massive, and again, would have not known that was a Strat.
No, and Fast Eddie Clark, the guitar player in Motorhead, he preferred a Strat, and it gave him a bit of an edge. I think it cut through in a way in that scene at that time that was really significant, and it set Motorhead apart a little bit from that scene in England. And he had a DiMarzio super distortion pickup in the bridge. We can talk about the way we can modify Stratocaster seems to be a sub theme in this episode. Some of the examples we played, either we know that they put like humbuckers, and of course you can get Stratocasters now. Fender puts them out with the humbuckers in them. I think Dylan's going to show up later, and his has a combination of, sometimes it's usually like what single humbucker kind of is one of the more,
absolutely single humbucker on the bridge, or sometimes just 2 humbuckers.
Yeah. So that's so Ace of Spades. That's on Fender Play. Pick it up. It's a great one. We've got a question coming in. Maybe not. Yes. No. We're not gonna go with the question. All right. So I think we have time for a bonus song, if you don't mind, Dinesh.
Nice. Yes. A favorite of mine too. Another doesn't really sound like a Strat. Kind of hidden gem there. Newer band that had come out, and kind of, you would think they were using some kind of weird, quirky indie type guitars, and all of a sudden you're like, oh my God, here it is. Let's do some Strokes, some Reptilia.
I love
I
the
went middle
Strokes.
pickup for you on that one, Eugene.
I noticed that.
I had to do some middle pickup.
You know, in the now we talk about the Stratocaster as the surprise instrument on things. Also, the Strokes is a good example of a band who will use a Stratocaster alongside another guitar that usually have humbuckers.
Right.
So, like with the way they arrange their guitars, that coil Stratocaster sound will really, really jump out. And I noticed when you were playing Reptilia, sorry, Reptilica is an old horror film from Sweden in the early '60s, by the way.
Oh, nice.
There's Mystery Science Theater
Jaws
fans
is,
out there. Hopefully picked it up.
Godzilla's cousin.
Yeah. No, Reptilia is a great word. You can really hear that kind of, I wish I had a good word for it, that kind of planky, strummy thing. That it's a percussive sound that really comes across on that recording, and Albert Hammond uses it really, really well when he plays it with the Strokes. We've got a question from Facebook. Rick wants to know what favorite gauge of strings on a Strat. He plays 9 to 42s. What do you usually use on yours, Dinesh?
You know, I use just a standard 10 to 46, nothing fancy as well, and I'm a fan of 9 to 42s as well. You know, if that, if it cuts the work down, right? If it helps you get through the part, 9 to 42 is totally fine. And a lot of guitars ship with that new anyways. But yeah, 9 to 42, 10 to 46 myself personally. I may actually want to try 9s again just because might give my hands a little break, just on some of the bending and stuff. But 10 to 46 is kind of the standard. And yeah, nothing wrong with 9 to 42s at all.
No, not at all. In fact, there's a lot of great records were made with that gauge. I myself am using 11 to 48s. It's what I also have on my tellies in general. It's just what I became used to. I would play these really, really long nights, like 5 sets a night, 6 nights a week in a country band when I was growing up, and there just wasn't time to tune all the time. You just had to go. So it was just always a thing of just go with a heavy gauge of strings and just learn how to bend them. But no, the Strat takes to really light strings or heavy gauges as well. We can talk about Stevie Ray Vaughan using extremely heavy gauges, tuning down a bit. Fast Eddie, I think, used a relatively heavy gauge, and he was tuned down half a step as well. So you can really, really play around with the Stratocaster that way. Also, on YouTube, Joseph Collins is asking, can you get a slow blues sound like B.B. King out of a Strat, or would I need an HSS? Dinesh?
I think game on with the Strat the way it is. Yeah. There's a ton of guys that I think have accomplished. I think you're totally fine with that. And decide how round or fat you want that tone with the tone controls. Start on the neck, and check out some of the slow blues by Stevie Ray and Buddy Guy and a couple other big Strat guys, even Robert Cray.
I was going to say Robert Cray is a great example of a Stratocaster blues player. And B.B. King, although we associate him with the double humbucker guitars that he used, but the way that selector is, sometimes there were split coil on that sound too. Sometimes when he was getting so it's really a matter of getting the. I think you can definitely get that out of a Strat. And also, someone's asking, it's a similar question. Jay Pugh on YouTube is asking, what's the best pedal for blues Strat sounds, and how do you get that bluesy sound from a Strat?
Yeah, definitely. I'd stick with an overdrive pedal. Nothing too high on the gain, not a fuzz. I would just get yourself a nice mild overdrive. Even the Fender, the Santa Ana pedal is great because it's got great overdrives. I've used that for some of the videos. Just get yourself just a great little standard overdrive pedal, nothing fancy. And I think you're on the way,
I'd like to suggest the Pugilist as another Fender pedal.
Great one.
that has a great kind of overdriven tube sound, and really shows off aspects of the Strat. Jonathan Strickland notes that thank you, Jonathan, Ace of Spades was featured in a film that was on Mystery Science Theater. So maybe my brain was doing something there. All right. Well, now I think it's time to get some homework. If we're tuning in for the first time, we're all about learning guitar here, and that means that we like to give you guys some things to work on after the episode is done. So, Dinesh, can you help us out with the homework, please?
Absolutely. Yeah, we'd love to. Okay, so for beginners out there, we're going to be doing, we're going to want you to play the riff from Fast As You by Dwight, and, just as slow as possible. Just make it through, once, even if you can. And it's just a super fun, rockabilly style riff. And Eugene, that's it. Yeah, take your time with it. Play at your own pace there. And then for the intermediates out there, let's try the rhythm to the freak. Let's go for it, you know. And it's just, again, all about this right hand, or if you're a lefty, you know, your left hand, your strum hand, basically, right? And that's just. And even if you're not getting this hand down, just the. And then for advance, let's just go all the way. Ace of spades, full speed. Yeah.
Love that record. All right. Now, thank you so much for helping with the homework there, Dinesh. I think it's about time that we bring out our old pal Dylan for some exciting play updates. Welcome, Dylan.
Yeah.
Hey, great show, guys. Wow. This is awesome.
Thanks, man.
It's Strataganza. It's Stratopia. It's Stratendus.
Stratosphere.
It's Stratosphere. It's really, really good.
We could just try and top each other that for the next 5 to 10 seconds. But no, Dylan, what are you playing? And maybe hear it.
Oh yeah, so it's an American Pro H.H. Shawbucker. So it's a lovely guitar. It's used on quite a few Fender Play videos, so you may recognize it. It's Glean from the studio. I'll play a little something. Anyways, it goes on and on. That's the solo from Hit Me With Your Best Shot.
Yeah.
Way to tie it in there, too. Dylan.
Well, you know, I do what I can.
And so what do you bring us today? You're always giving gifts and stuff. You're like Santa.
Yeah, well, okay, so today, I don't know if you guys have seen this incredible Baja Blue t-shirt, this Fender shirt that I've been wearing. This is Eugene's, one of his top 2, I think, favorite Fender t-shirts.
It is.
Yes, if I'm not correct. I've been following his t-shirt preferences lately. So you too can have this t-shirt for 30% off using the promo code STRAT30. That's good until, I believe, Friday at 6 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. Again, check out the Fender apparel page. Check out with the discount code STRAT30, discount code STRAT30 for the Baja Blue t-shirt. This one right here. Okay, so on to the Fender Play giveaway, if you guys don't mind.
No, not at all. I've got my...
So anybody that doesn't know, each week, a very lucky Fender Play subscriber who completes a streak using Fender Play in the previous 7 days is randomly selected to win the Fender Play giveaway. So winning means you get to pick from Strats, Tellies, Jazzmasters, P-Basses, amps, Ukes, and tons more, and get it delivered right to your door, which is nice because it's really hot outside. And in order to win, subscribers need at least 1 weekly streak. So that's 3 7-minute sessions using Play. That equals 1 streak. If you get consecutive weekly streaks, you get an additional entry for each one of those consecutive streaks. So you get 5 consecutive streaks, you get 5 entries to win. You're more likely to hear your name on the show. Are you guys ready to hear who won this week? Who's ready?
I'm ready.
Let's do it.
I'm
My
ready.
dog's ready. Let's do it. Here we go. Darren H. H. Congratulations, Darren.
Nice.
That's it. Congratulations, Darren.
And congratulations to you, Darren, and enjoy your new guitar, bass, amp, or whatever it is that you choose. Dylan, what else do you have for us?
Yeah, so I mean, there's always a bunch of new stuff on Fender Play, so you got to keep checking out the site and check out the What's New tab to find out what's coming out new. But one exciting thing that I'm really excited to be a part of and excited that Fender's doing is the Fender Tone presets, which are from Fender Play. So hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of songs all have their own presets, so you can basically match the tone of the artist as you're learning the lesson using the Fender Tone app with a Fender GTX amplifier like the one I have here. Nice. Or even the GT series as well. So you need the Fender Tone app and a Fender GT or GTX. And I set up a couple of the tones, downloaded them from the Fender Tone site. So here's our La Freak tone. You guys want to hear it? You can hear the compression in there, the nodes of 1970s, yeah. Right? And then I took that. Something that's really cool to do is build off the preset tones that we've made. So I took that to build the Reptilia tone. Now, there is already a Reptilia tone in there, and there's even a tone lesson on the full song for Reptilia. but check it out. I just added a pedal, just like what you could do at home. So it's actually really got that kind of like gritty 70s throwback style with the pedal sitting in front of a Fender amp, classic tone type of thing. So check that out on the site.
Yeah, thank you for mentioning that, Dylan. And it's a great thing too. When you have a tone that matches the song that you're trying to learn, it's very, very encouraging. And so it's a wonderful benefit that Fender does with that. Also, and then I love the addendum you have there and then start adding to that and create from there. So yeah, use tone to be experimental. That's a fantastic way. We're all about not just you learning songs, but having you kind of stretch out and find your own thing. So
absolutely,
that's a great resource there. Thank you very much, Dylan. And also a huge thank you to you, Dinesh, for stopping by and performing some tunes with us.
My pleasure. Always great to be here, man. It's such great time. So I'm just excited to always be here.
It's always a great time chatting with you, and it's always a pleasure to listen to you play. Is there anything you'd like to plug before you leave?
Likewise, Eugene, man. No, thank you. Man, I just, doing a lot of playing, doing some recording right now, so we'll stay tuned. There's a new project called Brother that's coming out. We'll do some, it's a blues trio that I'm working on, and other than that, just trying to help people with their tone playing and just overall just having fun and enjoying the guitar, man. So that's about it. Keeping busy out here in the heat of Los Angeles.
Excellent. Dinesh, you're doing the work of Six-String Angels.
One note at a time.
That's so for everybody, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for your questions and comments. Keep practicing, keep safe, and we'll see you next week. Everybody play out on a surprise Strat G chord. You ready? 1, 2, 3, and...